the eye of the storm. Our kind love to create chaos and drama. Chaos and drama allows us to assert control over you and to draw fuel from you. This is done instinctively and unaware by lesser and mid-range narcissists, and is done with full malice aforethought and intense prejudice, calculated, purposeful, and willingly by the greater narcissists and the ultra. We thrive off the emotional reactions from everybody who is caught up in this chaos and drama, from our intimate partners through to outer circle friends and even complete strangers. Whether it is open-mouthed admiration at some audacious act, seething anger at some scything comment, or tears and upset at our heartless cruelty, we need that reaction. We create an entrance, a scene, and a spectacle in order to have all eyes and emotions on us. We will manufacture flamboyance, boastfulness, magnificence, carnage, misery, and histrionics. From striding like a conquering hero into a restaurant, through to flouncing away and throwing a glass on the floor. If there is an opportunity to create some kind of scene and extract fuel from it and assert control through it, we will take it. If we crash the car, there is much fuel to obtain from worried relatives, the annoyed partner, irritated at our reckless driving, concerned paramedics, and questioning police officers. Other people may be nervous and overwhelmed in such circumstances. We are not. We invariably appear surprisingly calm in the whirlwinds that we create, because this is enabling us to assert control and to gain fuel, driving the presence of the chasm away from us. This serene outlook is a consequence of the receipt of the fuel and the assertion of the control. We may create a picture of panic in order to start the fuel flowing, and then revert to a calm individual as the fuel washes over us. If you observe us closely, you will periodically be able to detect those flashes and glints of powered delight in our eyes, in between whatever mask that we have settled on in order to further the charade that we have created. Turmoil, tragedy, panic, anguish, catastrophe, and mayhem are all gleefully greeted by us, as long as we are the conductor, the architect, and the creator. If it is our tornado, we love it. If it is our conversational hand grenade that has exploded, so much the better. We have to be the originator of whatever scene is unfolding, so that the responses are directed at and are because of us. The situation, however, is very different if there is a crisis which is not of our making. If you have suffered a bereavement, the test results have come back confirming your worst fears, you have had an awful day at work, you have fallen out with your best friend, or the bath has overflowed and flooded into the kitchen below, then you ought to know that unless it serves our purposes, we invariably will not be relied on. In such instances, we prefer that the trauma and the incident arises when we are nowhere near the scene. Should you telephone us and tearfully explain what has happened, or ring asking for our help, you should expect that there will be a sudden problem with telecommunications, or something far more urgent has just cropped up, and therefore, sorry, can't help you. Why? Your upset over the overflowing bath hasn't been caused by us. Therefore, this is wasted fuel. The phone call will be ended, and when you try back, you will find it will either just ring or go straight to voicemail. If it isn't our chaos, we're not interested. If we suffer the misfortune of being on hand when the drama you are experiencing unfolds, our eyes will invariably be looking for the nearest exit. Occasionally, if it suits the purposes, and this is usually during seduction, we ride in as the White Knight to the rescue, but at any other time, we will want to be the Black Knight and get out of there. If it isn't possible for us to be removed, then we remain and offer you cold, fake empathy. You may recall, from instances where this has happened, that we will be big on the sympathetic noises and correct facial expressions, all learned, of course, and short on actually doing anything to solve the problem that you face, leaving you to sort it out. Or, more likely, directing others to do so. We don't want to get our hands dirty. We'll play the part so you think that we're a good person and then give us fuel. We'll create the impression, if it suits us, of caring and offering ideas so that others admire us, preservation of the facade, but we will focus on the words rather than the doing. Even during seduction, where we appear to be helpful, we don't want to waste energy on you to too great an extent. Of course, if the mishap takes place when we are in the throes of devaluation, then we will just reject your request for help outright, and support is not given. We may vanish and remain incommunicado before we reappear once we are content that the drama is over. We'll breeze back in and not bother to ask you what happened or how you are. Why? We don't care, because we have no emotional empathy. It served no purpose for us. And indeed, it is better for us not to offer the help, because that will provoke a reaction in you, perhaps causing you to become angry with us, or to beg us even further. All eyes and emotions shifted to you when the crisis erupted. That's no good to us. That's why we absented ourselves and sought out someone else who would provide us with the fuel that we need. If there is no opportunity for us to get away from your immediate drama, and we are forced to remain proximate to you, then you ought to make a careful note of what you see. When this happens during devaluation, we don't feign the fake empathy that occurs when a crisis breaks during the seduction. We can't bring ourselves to do that. Our narcissism doesn't operate that way, because whatever problem has arisen is your problem. It's beneath us, and we despise you for being so weak and inferior to have such a problem, regardless of whether you have any actual culpability for it. Your demand for help threatens our control, and we hate you for it. You'll be met with a cold, expressionless face. A blank, almost robotic expression will greet you as we just stare at you. We don't feel anything for you in such a situation other than contempt. But this will not necessarily show, because you'll be too busy focused on your own woes and misery to actually respond to the sneer or the hateful look. Thus, it is invariably saved. We feel no need to provide you with support. We feel no emotional empathy because it is absent for your predicament. There is simply nothing there. Most of all, as the storm of tragedy and mishap batters and buffets you, look at our eyes. You will see nothing. A void, a blank stare, a dark-eyed emptiness looking back at you. You need to be aware of this, and if you remain in the throes of entanglement with our kind, during that devaluation, when the next crisis which appertains to you manifests, and you look to us for assistance, scrutinize our eyes, and then you will see what we feel for you when you are in pain, when you are in distress, when you need help, when you need support, when you find yourself in difficulty. You will see then what we feel for you. Absolutely nothing.